homies, it's Plumondon Comics, and today we're going to go over the 5 simple steps that'll help you gain a following as an artist online. I'm going to be focusing and referencing to Instagram for the most part on this video, but just know that you can take these steps and use them for any sort of social media. So when I first started posting art online, I really threw all caution to the wind. Because of this willy-nilliness, I only gained about 200 followers over the course of several years. It wasn't until about a year and a half ago that I decided to be more mindful about the way that I posted online. Since then, I've gone from 200 followers to over 100,000 followers in the course of about a year and a half. But before we get into it, let me just tell you a little something about Amazon. I've partnered with Amazon's influencer program. What that means is that I basically make a list of items that I find helpful, and I give them to you guys, and you can look, and if you purchase any of those items that I've provided, I will get a small commission from that. Everything that I've put into my list are things that I have used before and love, or things that I wish I could use. I have a list for both traditional and digital art, so please check that out with my link below and help a sister get that coin. Alright, well, thanks for bearing with me. Let's now get into it. The first thing I want to talk about is content. The most important part to building your audience as an artist is to make sure that your content is good enough. This means that you are proficient at whatever it is that you are showing to the world. If you're drawing people, are you good at anatomy? If you're a graphic artist, do you have solid line work and a good concept of composition? If you're a painter, is your color theory spot on? It's important that you focus your time in an efficient way. So basically I'm saying don't waste your time trying to build an audience if you need to be spending that time getting better at art. So just think of it this way. Why do you follow people on Instagram? You probably either like the aesthetic or the look of something, you envy, admire, or look up to in some way another artist or person, or you find someone informative or educational. Are you providing something like that in your own content? If you're not, or you're not able to, focus on getting to that point first. Unfortunately, in today's day and age, I feel like a lot of artists think that if they're not relevant online, then they're not a good artist, or they're not worth the time or day to do art. And that's simply not true. The amount of followers that you have has nothing to do with your skill, and you should be first and foremost dedicated to your craft and your skill set, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with not having a big following. Some artists are really good at playing the field, and they may not necessarily be the best artist out there. They're just more driven towards getting followers. And you know what? You do you, good for you, but ultimately, those people are not going to have success professionally the way that you will if you focus on making sure your skills are really solid. And I'm not saying you have to be a professional. I'm just saying be proficient in what you're doing. Second thing that you need to think about is readability. Let me take you through a scenario. You're in a bookshop and you pick up a comic that looks really interesting on the outside. You open it up and all of a sudden you see that it's filled with text and there's heavy line work. It's really messy to look at. It's just overwhelming to the eyes. What are you going to do? Are you going to keep reading it, or are you going to shut it and put it back on the shelf? Think about your profile as a book. Your little icon is kind of like the cover, so you want it to be interesting and eye-grabbing, and then your feed is the pages. So I personally hindered my own growth by having poor readability. I had sketches, I had selfies, I had different kinds of, well, not selfies at first, because I hid my face for a while. I had sketches, I had different illustrations, I had comics that really didn't fit the niche, not the niche, but I had comics that didn't fit my style and my general tone of my page, and I just had a big hodgepodge of different things. Because of this, my main audience kind of would get confused What's wrong? My main audience would get either confused or even irritated by the random posts that I would sometimes throw in there. I solved this issue by creating a alternate account. This account is mostly for my illustrations, but also for other little side projects that I might want to do. I would highly suggest doing this for yourself so that you can keep your main account that you're going to be focusing on growing consistent in its content. But basically, think about your page as almost a portfolio. Your best, polished, most representative of you work all in one place for people to consider. The third thing I want to talk about is style. Not only do you want your work to be consistent in quality, you also want it to be consistent in your style. By style, I'm not actually talking about the way that you draw necessarily. I'm talking more about that unique voice that you have. What is it that sets you apart from other people that your viewers can read between the lines through your art? Are you dark and broody and very deep? Are you silly and relatable? Are you aesthetically pleasing and eye candy, sort of fun to look at? Do you have a passion for social issues? Are you informative and educational? What is your audience going to take away from going onto your page? What little piece of your personality are you leaving behind in each post that you make? Fourth is consistency. I would recommend to not post any less than once a week minimum. You can post beyond that amount, but make sure that whatever amount that you've set for yourself, you're able to uphold that amount. So let's say you want to post 3 times a week. You have to make sure that you will be able to post 3 times a week every week in order to help the algorithm work in your favor. If you are consistent, I don't know why, but Instagram especially really likes that. Facebook also really likes that. I think most websites like that. They like knowing that they can expect content from you consistently, and that will help you maintain being in people's feeds and maybe even on the discover pages or whatever equivalent on whatever website you're on. I personally need to be better at this, but it's also really helpful if you post certain days of the week and at certain times. I don't know if it's different for everyone, but there's an easy way that you can figure out what's the best time and day to post for you. So if you haven't already, go to your settings and scroll down to the bottom and click on the blue line that says make my profile into a creator one or whatever. It's like make mine into a creator profile, right? Click on that, convert your profile into a creator's page. Once you've done that, go to your insights and then click on your activity. Once you do that, it will show you some bars and it will give you the time of day where you have the most engagement, as well as which days of the week you have the most engagement. I would highly recommend that you post according to those statistics. However, you need to be posting consistently before that in order to get those statistics. So again, you have to be consistent. This isn't something that you can just instantly do, but it's worth it. I would also highly recommend keeping some work. Let's say if you are a webcomic artist like I am, I have old work that I will use as a filler for one of my days if I'm feeling burned out and I just can't get new content out there. If you're an illustrator, maybe you can have a couple illustrations that you haven't put out there quite yet and keep those on retainer for the days when you're feeling too burned out to create new content. Okay, and the last thing is to engage your audience. Your audience is, in terms of success online, everything. And it's really important that you let them know that. Some really good and simple ways to do that is to respond to comments. Any comments that you get on your post, it's a really good etiquette and it makes people feel really good inside when you respond, if you thank them, or if you engage in a little bit of a conversation with them. Once you start to grow your audience, this is going to become a little bit more difficult to do. For me personally, I try and engage with my audience in the comments for at least 30 minutes after I have made a post. This way I can kind of reward people who are really following my work closely, and I Bubs! And I can also show new people that are following me that I do respond to comments, I do read their comments, and I appreciate them. Unless you're being a dick. Another good way is to hold Q&As, do live streams, or doodle requests. People basically just really like to know that there is a person behind the screen, that there is more than just a hand creating this work. Oh my god. My cats are really trying to ruin this for me. And don't forget to reward your audience. When you are reaching milestones, do a giveaway to say thank you for getting you to that point. Oh my goodness. You can also do a draw this in your style. Basically just show your audience that So don't forget to reward your audience. When you hit a milestone, oh, Peanut! Reward your audience by doing a draw this in your style, or maybe a giveaway, maybe a drawing competition. This is a great way to celebrate milestones that you've reached and also show your audience that you really care. That right, Peanut? So that's really it. Remember that unless you're Olivia Jade, success doesn't just fall into your lap. You have to work for it. Be persistent, patient, and mindful about what you're posting online, and you will gain a much larger audience much quicker. Thank you so much, homies. I really appreciate that you would stop and take a gander at what I have to say. I hope to see you in the next video. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell if you like my work, and stay classy.